Hey guys, BigDebuffs here. Today we have a Farseer Resto Shaman RBG build guide. Now if you're wondering, BigDebuffs, why are you doing RBG? Why don't you do a guide for a much more meaningful bracket like Solo Shuffle or 3s or even 2v2? Well, it's because A, I just uploaded a RBG video, a long overdue RBG video yesterday. Very good video, go check it out. It's been a long time since I've had RBGs in the channel. It used to be a pretty big thing for the channel. And two, I think that prompts the idea to do these build guides more for these undervalued brackets. RBGs are nowhere near as popular anymore in modern time. So that prompts the idea to do these guides that much more because no one's looking out for the little guys. There's probably a Resto Shaman out there that may not have the answers and may be wondering, how can I maximize my efficiency? Well, there's no one to look towards in this bracket because no one plays it. That's where Big Tuna shines in for that one person over the 500,000 that play Shuffle in 3v3. So I'm looking out for the little guys. Now remember, this is just a build overview, why I like this build, why I think it's awesome, other builds for maybe different maps. It's not a, full in-depth guide, best race, stats, all that junk. If you really want to know the answers to that, you can just simply ask a question. Not doing that. I'm pretty sure my guide from like the beginning of the season is still relevant because Resto Shaman hasn't gotten changed like literally at all. So let's get right into this. This build right here is kind of the blueprint. It's the baseline to what I like to run. It's my ideal build for what I want to run for pretty much any matchup in RBGs. But this build right here, I find it amazing. Now, why do I like it? Why do I find this build awesome? Why do I want to run it? Well, in the Shaman tree here, it's got some nice enabling and disruption. We have the Windrush Totem, the Jet Stream, keep my team moving, remove their snares on every single refresh. Nice bit of relief. It's good for defense, for escorting, flag carriers. On the contrary, it's good for offensive pushes on the EFC. Keep your team moving so they can keep up on the EFC. Very nice little talent there. Voodoo Mastery, great peels and disruption. Getting hexed constantly every 15 seconds is super annoying, especially if there's no one else that DRs my hex on my team. Very annoying just getting hexed all the time, and especially being slowed by 70%. The baseline slow for any class is 50%, so a healer with a potential 70% slow is very annoying to deal with, especially because you can't dispel it with a normal dispel. You have to have a curse spell. Very annoying. Traveling Storms, obviously it's very amazing. One of the better peels for a class. Very nice. It's very unexpected too. You're just on this warlock, you're on this hunter, and the entire enemy team that's on them just gets blasted away. Like, what the heck? I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. What the heck was that? It's Traveling Storms from your Resto Shaman. Very awesome. Farseer tree here. Good healing with the Routine Communication and Lane Wisdom. And for the Resto Shaman tree here, we have the Current Control, and first Ascendant, it's CDR Power. CDR Power because 2 cooldowns that have its maximum CDR, which is now 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, and 1.4 minutes instead of 2.2 minutes is insanely powerful because short cooldowns, I always talk about this, short cooldowns are the name of the game when it comes to your rated battlegrounds. The healer that has their cooldowns rotating up the quickest is going to have them available for pretty much every single major fight, and I have 2 cooldowns available for every single major fight. That puts me way over than that Mistweaver or that Holy Priest, especially when they're 2 raid-wide cooldowns. Very, very strong. Your honor talents. Pretty much run this every single time. I do not switch anything. I take grounding and I take Static Field Totem. There's always something to ground in this game. Static Field Totem, I mean, I always talk about how insane this is. It's insane for defense, for peeling, peeling melee off of your backline. It's especially insane for kill pressure. I mean, I don't know how many videos I have of me stacking up enemy teams with Static Field Totem and our teams just steamrolling them, especially on top of a cap stun. It's just positional disruption that can be used defensively or offensively, and it's just really annoying to deal with. So, very strong talent there. This is the ideal build that I want to run for every single encounter. Now we're going to explain our flex points and other options for different circumstances. In terms of your Shaman tree over here, we have only about 5 flex points. I think all of these are your flex points. 5 flex points. These are points that I will switch around depending on the situation. So first off, in terms of defense, Plains Traveler or Astral Bulwark, obviously it's always going to be Plains Traveler. I don't think there's ever a world where you take Astral Bulwark ever. I just talked about how powerful short cooldowns are, and that is no different for your own self cooldown, Plains Traveler. In maps like Eye of the Storm, maybe not Eye of the Storm, maps like Silvershard Mines or what's the other one? Deep Hall Ravine, maps where you're kind of forcing these close encounters, you can get swapped to very easily, especially if you're annoying like me, and you earn the respect of many teams that want to focus you, because if you're annoying statics and annoying disruption, yeah, Plains Traveler is definitely nice to have. Just being able to have that wall for yourself for every single swap potential, very powerful. Static Charge or Guardian's Cudgel, it's completely up to you for the situation at hand. Guardian's Cudgel is really nice if your team does not have a lot of stuns. I mean, being able to just cap stun once, and then another one will be placed after that, so your cap stun lasts 3 seconds, your next one will be like 1.5 seconds because it's a DR. It's pretty nice. It's just a bit of extra disruption. If your team does have like a lot of stuns, like if they got like a warrior on your team, they already have like shockwave and whatnot, not a good idea to DR them, so I would not opt for that. Static Charge is definitely very nice on those exact same maps I just mentioned. Deep Hall Ravine, Silvershard Mines, Eye of the Storm, any map where your fights are close counters, you're going to get pretty much every single time max benefit off Static Charge, and your AoE stun is going to be a 30-second cooldown. Yeah, that's pretty nasty, so definitely very valuable to pick up. I really don't care too much about elemental resistance. If you really like 6% damage reduction on frost, fire, or nature damage spell schools for 3 seconds, and for any time your healing stream totem heals a certain target, I don't really care for it too much, honestly. Enhanced Imbues is actually really good. I actually do really like having Enhanced Imbues. I feel like I just need a little bit of extra healing. Even though I'm Farseer, my weapon Imbue is still doing decent healing. You see here, it's ticking nice. That's why I actually do take improved Earthbending weapon. Very nice healing. Other than that, I really don't take any other points. I don't find the need to like take Earth Elemental. Maybe if you're in Blitz and you want to spin flags, you can kind of fling your Earth Elemental on the target so they can't cap. Cool, but if there's another target there, then you're screwed because you can't command your Earth Elemental to attack a different target. So that's really no benefit. Rarely will I take Brimming with Life. If you feel like you're very scared and you're under pressure a lot and you just want to have 10% max health, that's completely fine. But I like to use my mobility and my team peels to keep me alive rather than my own self-defense, because that allows me to pick more and more disruptional and other talents. Other than that, I really don't care for any other talent points. Really. Same thing with Poison Cleanse Totem. Not really super valuable in a RBG. Sure, maybe in Asa Rogue I might Poison Cleansing Totem, but other than that, not something that's going to be a huge prio pick. Your Farseer tree here. Ring Communication, Heed My Call, Latent Wisdom, and Ancient Fellowship. So naturally, you'd run Ring Communication and Latent Wisdom. It's kind of standard. You'd have the proc talents with each other, and then you'll have the throughput talents with each other. My only problem with this is that ideally it should work. You're proccing a lot of Ancestors with Ring Communication and Ancient Fellowship, and by proccing more Ancestors, guess what? You are benefiting off of Offer from Beyond, and you're going to get more Riptide uptime. You're going to have more available Riptides. That's cool, but it just doesn't really net a whole lot of actual real healing. Sure, you might get some high jumpable value, but like, I kind of don't pay attention to high jumpable at all. I don't know who it's proccing on, so it's not really something you can really track, so I don't really pay attention too much to this. I do like having Team Communication and Lane Wisdom together. I just like having, the procs of Ancestors to get some bit of Offer from Beyond and Final Calling value, whilst also having my Ancestors do 25% more healing. It's throughput. I like throughput. I like seeing people's HP bars go up rather than anything else, so that's why I take that. Natural Harmony is obviously going to be your choice here. A lot of Resto Shaman just pretty much run Therazanes only. No one really cares about reactive warding, so there's no real reason to run Earthling Communion. However, reactive warding is good. People don't run reactive warding because I don't want to have to manage my Earth Shield. Literally, it's the only reason. We don't want to manage our Earth Shields. We want to simply just focus on kicking and hexing and doing all the things I want to do as just a Shaman. And if I have another task on duty, which is refreshing Earth Shield constantly, it just kind of demaximizes that. So that's why we take Tharizdun's Resilience. Because the reality is, reactive warding does net you more healing. Not only does the refresh value heal for a lot, but it's also just the actual Earth Shield value is consuming charges 1 second faster, so Earth Shield's ticking more. Even though you're losing out on the 50% extra healing, it's just ticking faster. So it actually does net you more healing, but I just don't want to have to manage my Earth Shield, so that's why I take Tharizdun's. That's why everyone takes Tharizdun's nowadays. The only time where you'd want to take reactive warding if you really wanted to would be a flag carry map. If you're on defense, I'm never on defense, so that's see another reason for why I never take this talent. If you're on defense, you can take reactive warding and Earthing Communion, keep your Earth Shield in your tank, and just constantly refresh it. When the stacks are low, get some nice healing. Other than that, I'd never take it. Going over your Resto Shaman tree here, any flex points we can potentially move around. Kind of the same thing. Tide Turner. Tide Turner is good for if you're on defense on a flag carry map. Obviously I talked about how powerful the short cooldowns are, but if you really just want throughput, if your tank is just dying very easily, you can take Tide Turner for just a bit of extra throughput, but I really just do like having the power of your current control. Now, this is actually an interesting talent. Spirit Orchestra Totem versus Mana Tide. Naturally, it's the exact same thing with Heed My Call, Routine Communication, Laid Wisdom, and Age Fellowship. You'd run one with the other. So naturally, it would be current control, Mana Tide, and then Tide Turner with Spirit Orchestra Totem. However, I run it unorthodox, current control with Spirit Orchestra Totem. I like having the extra, instant healing surges, very nice. And I'm not really losing on mana. I don't really lose on mana ever. I'm always the last healer to go because I just know how to manage my mana. I'm not as stupido, so I don't really care for Mana Tide too much. Rarely would I run Mana Tide. If my team is losing on mana, that's a different story. But so long as I have mana, we're always in the fight, then I'll kind of stick with Spirit Orchestra Totem and just ensure I have some bit of extra throughput healing. That's why I like that. But Mana Tide is definitely the more optimal choice. Coming down here, Burst Ascendant, talking about how powerful short cooldowns are. But Farseer is a bit different. Naturally, you'll take Preeminence as Farseer. Why? Because you're proccing a lot more Ancestors. Or sorry, you're doing that too. But you're proccing a lot more Ascendances. So why wouldn't you want to have the ability to have 25% more haste during your Ascendance windows when you're proccing them? No idea. It's really a battle between Preeminence and Burst Ascendance. Because that haste makes Ascendance so good. Without that haste, Ascendance kind of feels good, but the 25% extra haste makes it feel amazing. Makes it actually feel like you're able to just heal through anything in the world. I did talk about how much Earthen Weapon does. It does good healing, but if you feel like you just don't want it, it's definitely optional to take Wavespeaker's Blessings. 10% more Riptide healing over time. But the 3 extra seconds of duration is actually pretty nice. In an RBG, spreading those Riptides is very nice. You're benefiting off of current or undercurrent. You're benefiting off of Whispering Waves value. So having Riptide last a bit longer just helps you maintain undercurrent value and Whispering Waves value. So that's a point to have. Spouting Spirits, I hate it. It just stinks. Rarely does this ever get actual value. The 5% damage reduction really does not matter for an ability that can just be killed instantly. So yeah, Spirit Link is such a hated cooldown by yours truly, so I try not to pick anything Spirit Link related. Totemic is so boring and lame because most of your healing comes from Surging Totem. Now, if you play Resto Shaman, you kind of understand, the struggles of keeping your team in your Earthen Wall Totem. They're moving everywhere, and it's not even really their fault. Earthen Wall Totem is one of our best cooldowns, one of the best cooldowns in the game. It's just chipping away that incoming damage, and it's usually going to be very high in your details if your team does stay in it. But the game has evolved so much from standing still to, to catching the chicken with its head cut off. Outside of Silvershard Mines and Eye of the Storm, no one's going to be standing in your Surging Totem, no matter how hard you try. No matter how many times you move it, they're always going to move somewhere else. It's very annoying. But in these maps where people are pretty stationary or following a certain path, you have a lot easier time to keep your team in your Surging Totem. So, pretty standard here. You know, these towns over here, it's the exact same thing as I was talking about with the first build. I do run elemental resistance for this build because of your reactivity, because your Healing Stream Totem does heal to a target, so it's much more valuable to actually have elemental resistance now. Going over your totemic tree, what do you run? Amplification Core, Aura Surge, and Pulse Capacitor and Supportive Imbuements. It's kind of the same thing. You kind of run the corresponding to Supportive Imbuements with Amp Core and then Oversurge with Pulse Capacitor. Now, sometimes this can collide. So on these two maps where your Surging Totem is actually going to be doing really good healing, yeah, it's pretty nice to have Oversurge and Pulse Capacitor. Your Surging Totem by default does 25% more healing, and then your Oversurge will make your Surging Totem heal for 150% more during Ascendance. That's a lot of healing. Now, where that can kind of fall apart is that it might be too all in with your Surging Totems. Although it's really good healing, especially really big burst healing, you know, when you're getting those Ascendance procs, when you just pop your Ascendance, it's really strong. But as I said, you also have more ways to heal as Totemic, like your Healing Stream Totems through reactivity, your Lively Totem. So if your Surging Totem is actually not getting like value, people are getting knocked away, they're just not staying in your Surging Totem, that healing falls apart really quickly. So that's where these two talents can kind of become pretty sketchy. But then you have Amp Core and then Supportive Imbuements. Now these two talents actually work really well. So when your Surging Totem is active, you do 3% more healing and damage. Supportive Imbuements gives you another Imbue, which will make it so your healing done is increased by 2.5%. So by default, you're going to have 5.4% more healing. But on top of that, your Healing Stream Totem is going to last 3.6 seconds longer. So obviously, your Healing Stream Totem, honestly, Healing Stream Totem, 100% of the time is actually going to be doing more healing than your Surging Totem, even with Oversurge and Pulse Capacitor, believe it or not. So this just amps it up even further. So this is really nice. This, because you have the default 5.4% more healing. Your Healing Stream Totem is going to be pumping out more heals. Your chain heals are a very big part of rehealing because they're proccing from lively totems. So you see here we actually do have like a lot of chain heal talents. So that 5.4% extra healing benefits all the other different sources of healing that you get. Chain heal healing, Healing Stream Totem healing, Earth Living Weapon healing from your Whirling Elements, Earth. So very, very strong. I might take Oversurge and Supportive Imbuements. The duration increase on Healing Stream is so valuable, and I still get to keep that 2.4% healing. But on top of that, sure, I'm losing out on 3% extra healing, but if I do proc Ascendances, and you do see here I am running First Ascendant, I am going to be, I'm going to have some pretty strong healing. Sure, maybe not as strong without having that 25% extra Surging Totem healing. Still, I'm going to have some strong healing when I pop my Ascendants and when I get proc Ascendances. So, unorthodox, but it works a lot of the time. It's actually what I mainly run to find that bit of balance. Totemic Coordination and Earth Surge. Totemic Coordination increases the healing of your chain heals from your lively totems and your Totemic Rebound. So, I actually do like this. Earth Surge is okay. It's actually really good for your Eye of the Storm match because, like I said, everybody's going to be stacked up with each other. So you're going to get a max Earthen Wall value. And as long as everybody's in your Earthen Wall, you're going to get 15% increased healing on those targets. Really strong, a lot more throughput as well. However, Totemic Coordination is really nice. My Chain Heal is also one of my top 3 heals as Totemic. So having your Totemic, your lively totems chain heals do more healing than your actual hard cast chain heals is really nice. Kind of ridiculous, especially when you have Totemic Rebound to factor in as well. With your tier set, your 4 set actually, after casting down for your next chain heal healing wave or healing surge cast, again at 150% effectiveness, that chain heal is actually effective through your lively totems as well. So you got the buff right here, Elemental Overflow. I cast Healing Surge or Healing Stream, and you see all those chain heals are flying. I'm getting double the lobby totems, and on top of that, I'm getting double the totemic rebounds. So all those 4 chain heals benefiting off the totemic coordination. That's why I like it. So Speedwalker Setup Totem, I really do like it for totemic because you don't really have that same instant healing as Farseer, because you're burst healing, you don't have the nature swiftness, powerful nature swiftness, the whispering wave. So being able to pop healing tide and then having the 3 extra healing surges, sure, may not be doing that same amount of healing, but it is still nice to have some instant healing, especially when your rotation isn't as smooth as Farseer. However, you are prone to burn more mana as Totemic because of, certain totem. It's not the same, it does cost a bit less now, but still, you are it's still another button that costs mana compared to Farseer, so there are times where you might want to run Mana Tide to kind of secure your spot in those mana fights, those mana late games. Well, coming down here, rarely will I take Preeminence as Totemic. I just find no real reason to, especially if I'm taking Oversurge. A lot of the time, I'm going to have Ascendant available so I can get more Oversurge value. I have my Ascendants available quicker. Downpour, you have to take Downpour because of your tier bonus, and your Tidebringer, Coalescing Waters, and High Tide, they all are affected through your lively totems. They all get affected through your lively totems. They're all affected. Improved Earth Living Earth, you kind of have to have this. Your Whirling Elements Earth does a lot of healing because you, when you get your buff, your Whirling Elements buff, your next chain heal, which again is also affected through lively totems. Your next chain heal applies Earth Living Weapon at 150% effectiveness to all targets hit. You combine that with your Unleashed Life. You're going to see all these boys got Earthling Weapon on them. Very nice. A lot of healing, a lot of HPS, very good. Honor talents are kind of the same thing. You can't run Static Field Totem, unfortunately, which is why the main reason why I don't play Totemic, because I want to have Static Field Totem. But you kind of have to have Rain Dance for the mana reduction and the increased healing. And then Grounding Totem is always that nice safe pick. There's always something to ground in this game, so it's pretty valuable. But yeah, that is pretty much my build overview. These are pretty much the 2 builds that are, I like to think, that are the most viable in their respective areas. This Farseer build I pretty much run for all my encounters, and will try to run for every single map. That Totemic build is very strong. It's much stronger than this build I currently have for my Farseer build, because all that HPS and all that, much more team healing is much more potent than my Farseer healing. I just like Farseer because I find that more fun. I like having the big NS healing waves, and it's more enabling because I'm able to run Static Field Totem and whatnot compared to Totemic, where I can't do that. But Totemic is, I still think, much stronger on that EOTS map, Deepal Ravine even, and that Silver Shard Mines, much stronger than this Farseer build in terms of just raw healing. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like right down below, try to subscribe my way, and of course if you really did enjoy this video, you gotta click the link in the description, as it does take you to a playlist of all my Resto Shaman PvP content.